Are you looking for some board games that are gonna pack a real punch? In fact, are you looking for games that literally fit into one deck of cards? Well, you've come to the right place, my friends, because in this video, we're gonna be looking at my 12 favorite board games that literally compact themselves into one single deck. My name is Danny. I'm an avid modern board gamer from Australia who loves sharing my passion for board gaming with you, my friends, my family. Come and join me for this journey. There was a game that got released quite a long time ago called Time Stories, where everyone kind of went to different locations, different rooms, and they could see a part of the location and they had to relay what they saw to the rest of the team. I've always been intrigued by that idea where everyone has a piece of the puzzle and being able to solve a crime or follow a story by communicating what you see without revealing to the other players what you've encountered has always been an interesting concept to me, because paraphrasing your experience is very different from just reading it off a card. And this next game is probably one of the easiest crime-solving games to teach. It literally takes 1 minute to teach, but it's gonna take you about 20-30 minutes to solve the case, and each case has about 4 sub-case files in it. The game is called Perspectives. This is also by Matthew Dunstan, an acclaimed Australian board game designer, and he actually demoed it for me at PAX in Melbourne last year. And what is really cool about this game is that as you open the case files, you're gonna get a deck of 12 cards, and you literally deal the cards in that order. And basically, you pull up your hands of cards, there'll be pictures, there'll be words, there'll be letters, there'll be different symbols, there's evidence. And after you've read the little case overview, for example, it might be something that's stolen or there's a crime, you've got to work out the answer to the global question. And the only way to do that is to look at your cards and communicate and ask each other questions. What did you see on your card? At that time, what happened? Who passed that person the drink? I've got the forensic file here, and this is what the forensic file says. This whole level of shared communication makes Perspectives quite unique, because you are seeing a small slice or a small perspective of what happened. And the next game is all about card crafting, taking some transparent cards, sliding them together, and then building your own cards with an array of icons and some beautiful artwork. The game I'm talking about is Canvas. What is really cool about Canvas is you've got these series of objectives, and then as you're building your 3 paintings, you're drafting these transparent cards so that you've got the right combo of icons to score in each of the different categories. So you're not just going, oh, I'm just gonna build one painting just because it looks pretty, but you're trying to fit that painting across multiple categories. You can score the same painting for multiple attributes and multiple goals. Means that the way that you pick the cards is gonna be super important, and you're not gonna be able to have access to every card. You'll have these little paint palette tokens that help you to move up and access cards that are further up the queue. But this game not only looks beautiful, but the fact that you've got this set collection, icon collection element just makes this game so pleasing to the eye, but very easily accessible for anyone who isn't a regular board gamer. And now, when I was a kid, I loved deduction games. Actually, I still like deduction games. Actually, probably 20% of my board game collection are just deduction games. Anyway, Cluedo is probably a game that lots of people know. And when this game came along, I was like, what if Cluedo had this science theme where you're all trapped in a room and some poisonous chemicals got dropped on the floor, and now we all have to scramble around and find the antidote. And if you can find the antidote, you survive. That's what this game is. Basically, in this game, you're gonna be passing cards around, trading cards with other players, and you're gonna try and deduce which of the 8 chemicals is the one that's poisoning everyone at the moment. And if you can grab the antidote with the highest value and have it in your hand as your final card, you'll survive. And the other players will, they might survive or they might not. That's part of the game, I guess. And what's really cool here is as you play the game, you're getting information from the other players as they place their chemical cards face up, you're also using a syringe to try and steal cards from other player or see what X cards they have. Because if you see an X card in the pool of cards that are moving around the table, then you know it's not that chemical that you will need an antidote for. It's one of the others that hasn't been revealed. This is a beautiful, tense game. And it's so easy to teach because there's only really 3 actions you can take, and there's always a little bit of a 50-50 guesswork right at the very end. And the fact that everyone is doing something at the same time, you're discarding cards until everyone has one left, and that final reveal where you get to reveal the antidote that everyone thought it was, but then also reveal the actual poison from underneath the lid of the box, just makes for a gratifying and fun experience. If you're looking for something cruisy, maybe you might want to take a train on a trip to the countryside, this might be your game. And I love games that evoke that sense that, ooh, you're traveling around England or you're going off into the country and the steam from the engine of your train is just kind of giving you that sense that you're escaping to another time period. Village Rails does that for me. And in Village Rails, you're basically creating a grid. You're creating a 4x4 grid of train tracks that connect together, of landscapes, and each of the train tracks will have a series of icons on it. What's interesting about this game and this deck of cards is that you'll have different tickets that you can earn, there's money you can earn, but each of the backs of the cards has different objectives, and you place those objectives in the 4 columns and the 4 rows, and based on the train lines that are made from those columns and rows, and how well they satisfy those objectives, that's how you score points, earn extra money, get extra tickets. This is a crunchy train game, and I do say train game lightly because you're not really moving the trains along the track, you're just kind of creating the rail network. This is a beautifully rich, puzzly, crosswordy style game where you're just trying to maximize how you're connecting everything together. The next game is a game that only has 18 cards. Well, actually, this version has 36. That's because it includes all the expansions. And the game I'm talking about is Sprawlopolis. Basically, you are building a city. You can play this solo, you can play it with a friend, you can actually play it with a group if you like, but I guess it does play better at the lower play counts. Basically, you are trying to overlay cards to try and build city districts and build roads that kind of continue, and you're going to try and meet 3 different objectives that are revealed at the beginning of the game. So basically you're going to have about 15 cards that are laid out to try and satisfy those objectives as best as possible. And what's really cool about this game is that when you overlay the cards, you can expand a district. You can make a road go really long and it can be like this very snaking path. You do lose points if, you know, there are unfinished roads that go towards the edge. And each of the objectives really adds a new dimension to the game, a new level of strategy, a new angle for looking at this game. If you do get this new version of Sprawlopolis, it does include the 6 expansion packs, which includes beaches, construction zones, roadwork zones, and points of interest that does expand how much you can play this game. I just love the level of tension because you've only got 15 cards. You are really thinking about, oh, should I lay the commercial districts together? Should I expand the residential? How am I going to manipulate this road? There is that sense of planning, and if you are playing with a partner, you get to draw 3 cards, and then whatever card you play, you pass the remaining cards to the other person, and they have to decide how it's going to work. Next game has a very ominous, tense feeling about it. I think a lot of the games on this list have a very tense theme about it, and where the friendship can survive on the battlefield. It is called the Grizzled. The Grizzled is a fully cooperative game where you're going to be controlling or taking on the role of soldiers as they try and survive the war. And basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to try and get rid of as many cards as you can from this deck so that you can move it over to reveal the peace card, which signifies the end of the war. If you can't do that, it signifies that you've lost and you've died in the war. What's really interesting about this game is that you're trying to play out cards so that you don't get 3 of a kind. You'll see that there's different landscape backgrounds, different items, and there's even different trap cards. You're trying to place them out so that you don't fall into a trap as a group. You're trying to play them out so that you don't get 3 items of a kind, because that will cause you to put some of those cards back on top, making it more harder for you to get home and get through the wall. This is such a powerful game, and whilst how I've described it sounds mechanical, the feeling of tension and hopelessness really comes through powerfully and strong in this game. And this game even comes with like little speech tokens. So at the beginning of each round, whoever the first plays, you can even do a speech, and you can even pass these support tokens, which like represented by little cups of coffee that can help players next to you. There's that sense of friendship, sense of camaraderie, and it's beautifully emanated through the art in this game. The next one is a classic, and I love it because it has a really interesting level of deduction. It's probably one of the first card games I ever played where you weren't able to look at the cards in your own hand, and you could only see the cards in everybody else's hands. It is a game about launching fireworks into the air, and yes, it is called Hanabi. And I love this because you can ask players around the table what colors you have in your hand, what numbers, and they can kind of only answer yes or no. They can say you've got 2 2s. And by using that process of deduction, you can decide what cards you're going to play. This is a fully cooperative game where you've got to try and sequence the fireworks in numerical order and launch them off. The amount of tension infused in this is incredible. Don't judge this by the art itself, because just thinking, ooh, I wish I knew which cards I had and what colors they were and what numbers they were, so that I could decide which card I should play on this turn. And that just adds a huge level of like pressure and suspense, in a good way, I must say. But the fact that someone can say, you've got a 5 here, but then you're like, is it a red? Is it a green? Is it a yellow? What color is it? I don't want to misplay the wrong firework. And when you kind of all synchronize together and really think on the same page and all solve it, it is such a beautiful moment, and it's one I definitely love playing. And now I'm not really a fan of games where you've got big miniatures and you do combat and you deal damage and there's defense and attack. I feel like those games, whilst are really engaging and really cool, and I totally respect anyone that loves those games, those are probably not the style of games that I actually enjoy playing that much. I kind of like games that kind of borrow some of those elements and add some Euro-y mechanics to it. In saying that, I do play sometimes Magic the Gathering. This next game kind of encapsulates that sense of combat, but with some elements of deck building and psychoanalyzing, and I think this game has incredible amounts of tension. It is called Mindbug. Basically, each player starts with a deck of 10 cards. All of the cards are creature cards. You draw a hand of 5, and then basically you play creatures which have different abilities like sneaky and also toughness and frenzy, which are basically like attack straight away or sneaking through if it's got power less than the strength of the opponent's power. But what's really cool about this kind of creature combat game is that you have 2 Mindbug cards. On your opponent's turn, when they play a creature and you think, ooh, that board stays looking wild, or that creature seems OP'd, you can use your Mindbug and you can steal that creature from them. So every card you kind of play is kind of at risk being stolen by the other player. Well, twice actually throughout the game. And that makes this game a little bit mind-bending. It's like, do I play a strong creature up front and then kind of make my opponent think that I might have better cards still in my hand? Or do I play all my weak creatures out and hopefully my opponent will waste some of their Mindbug cards? Then you've got the combat where each animal or creature just has a single numerical value. And that numerical value is its toughness and its attack. It is a beautifully simplified version of a lot of those creature combat style games. The next game is probably one of the most frighteningly tense games I have ever played. And it's about trees. And I'm usually someone that loves trees, but this game just gives me the shivers just because of how tense every decision you make is. It's called, yes, Arboretum. You never thought a jacaranda tree could be so frightening. If you haven't played this game, or if you have played this game, you will know how challenging this is. You're basically going to start with a hand of cards. You're building an arboretum, which is like a grid of trees in front of you, and you're trying to sequence the species of trees so that you can go from the lowest number to the highest number. If you connect the same species together, you get bonus points. But at the end of the game, you're only going to be able to score the trees for which you have the highest numbered card of that tree species in your hand. And so you're like spending the first half of the game planting jacarandas, doing chestnut trees, maple leaf trees, and you think, oh my goodness, how am I going to score them if I don't have the cards that I need? And so you'll be drawing from the discard, drawing from the top of the deck, and you'll just be anxiously thinking, wow, I've got this 7, I'm definitely going to score it. But if someone else has the 8, you're going to score 0 for that tree species. Or if you have the 8 and someone has the 1 is going to trump the 8. Oh my goodness. I've never seen something so tense in such a thin box. I love going to Sushi Train and just seeing sushi go round and round and round and round. Actually, I really like the sushi where they put Old English cheese. I know that sounds really weird, but the one I go to actually has that, and that's like, where is that one with Old English cheese? I want that sushi. And yeah, some places even put cream cheese on it. Yeah, sushi and cheese? As a kid, I probably ate melted cheese and rice for dinner, so I guess it's not that strange. But anyway, the other game that I wanted to introduce to you was by Australian board game designer Phil Walker-Harding, and that is Sushi Go. It's a set collection drafting game where you're collecting different sets of sushi, whether you're collecting a 3 multiplier of nigiri, a set of 3 sashimi, or double tempura, just to score most points. But don't forget about the pudding, because whoever has the most pudding after 3 courses also gets a bonus. Sushi Go is so interactive. It's got this colorful nature to it, and I think it's probably one of the first games I got in my game collection that was so approachable, easily accessible, and the maths that's involved is perfect for families because you're thinking about what's the best way I can combo everything together. And the other thing is seeing what everyone's going for as they play cards in front of them helps you decide what to take so that the person next to you doesn't get that finished set. Next game I want to talk about is a game that's really great to play at parties or games where people just want to have a great time and try and challenge each other based on how well they know they can bluff. The game is called Spicy, and it comes in this beautiful gold shiny box featuring some tigers that have eaten a lot of different chilies. So basically in this game you're going to be playing cards and you're going to announce a number and one of the 3 chili peppers. And basically you are going to keep doing that until someone says, hang on a minute, I'm going to challenge you. And they can either challenge that person on the number or the spice. And if they challenge them on the number and the person reveals the card and it's not the number that that person said it was, then the challenger actually gets the whole stack of cards. And whoever has the greatest number of cards gets the most amount of points at the end of the game and wins. And so this game incentivizes you to challenge everybody. You might, go 2 rounds and go, hang on a minute, I'm going to start challenging, because if you don't take the risk and challenge, you're not going to win the game. There are also cards that are kind of like wild cards where like they are all colors or all spices. And so by playing those cards, it just adds this whole element of unexpectedness to the game. There's quite a few different modes of play in the box, but this is probably one of the most funnest games I've played. The next game on my list is one that I recently acquired. In fact, it is smaller than the palm of my hand. What I like about this game is the fact that it's got multiple ways of scores and you can kind of follow different paths at the same time, and you can use those paths as a way of enhancing your scoring synergy. The game I'm talking about is Sea Salt and Paper. This is one of my favorite top 5 single deck card games that I actually own in my collection. There are so many good things about this game that I can't just literally express how this game feels when I play it. It's probably one of the first games that I literally, as soon as I played the first round, I just wanted to keep playing again and again and again. And Sea Salt and Paper is got a bit of nuanced player interaction and a little bit of psychology to it. So in Sea Salt and Paper, different collection of items that you're getting. There are also duo cards that when you collect a pair and you play them, you're going to be able to trigger bonus effects like going through the discard pile and getting a card that you need or drawing the top card from the deck. There are also multiplier cards, so for every fish that you've got, it multiplies it by a certain number of points, or sailor cards. And then you've got the 4 mermaids that give you a bonus point for your strongest or largest color suit. Now, this sounds like we've already heard all of this before, and you would be right. What's interesting about this game is the betting element. When you've got a combination of cards, both visible and hidden from your opponents, that is equal to 7 victory points or more, you can end the round on your turn and go, you know what? I think I can beat all of you. And you can go, if I beat all of you, you get to score your own cards, both in your hands and what's in front of you, as well as score an extra bonus for the highest color that you've got altogether. However, before you do that, all the other players are gonna get 1 extra turn. And this is where the game gets tense. It's like, oh, I've got 8 points altogether, but now I've just realized my opponents might be able to beat me. And if they do, I'm only gonna be able to score my color bonus and nothing else. And this is where it is so cool, because if you do gamble on the fact that you can beat everyone else, every other player is only going to score for their color bonus and nothing else. That kind of risk versus reward element packs a massive punch in this small box game. So what did you think of those 12 card-based games? Have you got other games that fit into that nice small spot in your collection that you can take while you travel overseas? Please let me know in the comment section below. Tell me about your experiences about some of those small games that you love packing into your bag when you travel far away. Now, if you really enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I would truly appreciate it. And I also want to say a huge shout out to all the people who are supporting me on Patreon. If you want to be a Patreon supporter, please head over to my Patreon page and have a say there. And you can access 4 exclusive Patreon only videos. And if you really like my content, please head over to my main YouTube page and check out the hundreds of other videos that are already there. Otherwise, this is Danny signing out. I hope your next board game is an amazing one. See ya!